I tighten my grip on the gift bags as I walk the uneven, concrete path to my parents' house. The mild spring air carries the familiar mix of my father's cigarette smoke and my mother's potted geraniums. Each step makes my stomach knot. After 3 months apart, I carefully chose these gifts, hoping to close the distance that's grown between us. Look, who finally remembered where she came from. My father calls from his worn recliner as I step inside. His eyes move from my pressed slacks to the hotel name badge I forgot to remove. Well, the fancy hotel manager is here, he says. Hi, Dad. I force a smile as my brother Jack enters from the kitchen, beer in hand. At 32, he still lives at home, following Dad into the steel mill. Nice outfit, Jack smirks. That polyester blend must impress the hotel crowd. The paper handles crinkle in my grip as I steady myself with a slow breath. Family is family, even when their words cut deep. I brought some things you might like. I place the bags on the coffee table as Mom walks in, drying her hands on a dishcloth. She glances at me quickly, then looks away. Dad, this is a new insulated work coat for your night shifts. Reviews say it stays warm even in freezing weather. He unwraps it with calloused hands. For a moment, his eyes soften before hardening again. Mom, I got you that ceramic cookware set you mentioned last Thanksgiving. She accepts it with a brief smile. For Jack, a watch, like the one you liked on my wrist a while back. His eyebrows lift slightly as he opens it. Dad clears his throat. So, hotel money makes you feel rich enough to buy all this? That why you never call anymore? Too busy counting your dollars? Heat floods my face. My heart pounds. Even now, his words land hard. Actually, I say, trying to shift the mood, I have some good news. I was promoted to senior manager last week. I smooth my slacks, a childhood habit. It's an important step forward. The silence feels heavy, reminding me of when I first announced I was going to college. Dad had slammed his plate into the sink, declaring, "Real workers use their hands, not fancy words." Aunt Annie, by contrast, had beamed at my acceptance letter and pressed a check into my palm. "Education is never wasted," she'd whispered with pride. Now Dad's jaw tightens. Why does every achievement feel like betrayal here? The cycle is so familiar, my progress only stirs resentment. Yet part of me still hopes for their approval. I thought maybe if you saw what the promotion involves, you'd understand why it matters to me, I continue, pulling out my new laptop. Bought with my first paycheck advance. 6 installments still to go. I built the renovation proposal that convinced corporate to invest in our property. I opened the sleek silver computer on the coffee table, avoiding the water rings. This is the presentation I'll share with investors tomorrow, Dad scoffs. That computer won't help when the hotel fails. Tourist towns always dry up, my fingers still on the keyboard. This isn't about showing off. This presentation represents weeks of late nights, and my first major project as senior manager depends on it. Mom stands in the doorway, cookware pressed to her chest, avoiding my eyes. Jack sets his watch on the table and leans in. Still trying to prove you're better than us? Pathetic. The word lingers in the room, 3 against 1, while my professional future rests on my lap. Tomorrow, I'll have lunch with Aunt Annie to celebrate. I speak, my voice steadier than my nerves. She's thrilled about the promotion. Dad's expression hardens at the mention of his sister. Your aunt always fed you nonsense, he says, making you believe you could be someone you're not. Aunt Annie supported me when no one else did, I reply, carefully closing my laptop and sliding it into its case, an act of caution. She helped pay for my first semester when you wouldn't, and look where that led you, Dad mutters. Working for people who'd fire you in an instant to save money. I rise, smoothing my slacks. I should go. I need to prepare for my presentation. As I gather my things, I catch Mom's gaze briefly. A trace of regret flickers across her face before she looks away. Jack examines his new watch with false disinterest, while Dad stares at the TV as if I'm already gone. Walking to my car, a thought becomes clear. Maybe my family will never recognize my worth, but others do. The hotel director who pushed for my promotion, my team who stays late to meet deadlines, Aunt Annie, who never stopped believing in me. For once, I think that might be enough. I clutch the laptop to my chest as I rise from the sagging couch. Inside it is the presentation I've perfected over weeks, the future balanced in a silver case. I should get going, I say lightly. Big day tomorrow. Dad's eyes follow me toward the door, his jaw tightening beneath rough stubble. Something shifts in his face, a hardness I've seen but never fully named. He sets his beer down with deliberate care. Wait. His voice stops me. You think you can show up after months? Drop off gifts and leave? My grip tightens on the laptop. That's not what I'm trying to do. You've always thought you were better than us, Dad says, rising from his chair, blocking my way. With your hotel job and your neat clothes. From the corner, Jack chuckles. Those rich people convinced her she belongs with them. I glance at Mom for support, but she busies herself with the pattern on a new cookware box, tracing its edges. The air grows heavier, pressing against me. Dad, please? I need to prepare. People are depending on me. He laughs harshly. People depend on me too. At the mill, real work. Before I can answer, he lunges. His calloused hand seize my laptop, wrenching it from my grip. Dad, stop. What are you doing? His face twists with anger, years in the making. You need to learn your place. Real work is at the mill. Time slows as he lifts the laptop above his head. I freeze. With a grunt, he smashes it against the floor. The crack echoes. Metal bending, screen shattering into fractured glass. The hinge snaps loose. Plastic scattering across the worn carpet. I fall to my knees beside the wreckage. My presentation? My promotion? My future? Now you'll see what real work feels like, Jack says, satisfied. Memories rush back, Dad tearing my college application at 17. My textbook soaked in the tub before exams. My acceptance letter tossed into the fireplace. This wasn't new. This was only the moment I could no longer deny it. How could you? My voice is steady even to me. That had my entire presentation. The hotel is counting on me tomorrow. Dad towers over me, unmoved. Hotels fade. Family lasts forever. I stare at the shattered laptop, something changing inside me. Every step forward had been sabotaged. Every achievement met with resistance. With trembling hands, I take out my phone and photograph the damage. Dad frowns, confused as I capture every angle. What are you doing? He asks. I don't respond. Instead, I pull the receipt from my purse, the record of 6 payments still owed. I photograph it too, then return it carefully to my wallet. Casey. Dad's voice shifts into that calm, neighborly tone he uses when he wants to sound reasonable. I'm just trying to save you from disappointment. That hotel business isn't meant for people like us. What do you mean, people like us? I ask, crouching to gather the largest shards of broken plastic and metal. Jack steps closer, beer still dangling from his hand. Dad says they're bringing machines into the mill. We could lose everything. His admission lingers between us like smoke. For a moment, fear, not anger, flickers across my father's face. His voice turns rough with emotion I rarely hear. If you fail too, at least we'll all go down together. Family sticks together. I look at him, really seeing him for perhaps the first time, the deep lines around his eyes, the slight shake in his hands after 30 years of steelwork, and the raw terror of being left behind. They're not villains. They're frightened people making damaging choices. Your father only wants what's best for all of us, Mom finally says, her voice small but unwavering, her loyalty unshaken even now. I gather the fragments of my ruined computer, carefully placing them into my laptop bag. Each broken piece feels like evidence of their long, quiet resistance to my independence. I always hoped we could be a real family, I say, standing tall with what dignity I can. But I guess I was wrong. Dad's face falters. Casey, don't be dramatic. It's just a computer. Clutching the bag to my chest, I turn to the door. It's not about the computer. It's about respect. Something I've never had in this house. Instead of heading to my apartment, I find myself driving the familiar streets toward Aunt Annie's neighborhood. Her porch light glows warmly against the night as I park in her driveway. Before I can knock, the door opens. Annie takes one look at me, at the bag in my arms, and pulls me into an embrace that smells of cinnamon and safety. Oh, honey, what happened? Inside her kitchen, I spread the broken remains across her table. She listens without interrupting as I explain. When I finish, she disappears briefly, then returns with an old laptop. It's not fancy, but it works, she says, setting it beside the ruins. They can break things, but they can't break you. I run my finger along a crack in my destroyed screen. This isn't about a computer. It's about respect. Annie nods, her eyes sharp with understanding. Then we'll make sure you crush that presentation tomorrow. For the first time since leaving my parents' house, I feel my shoulders ease. I won't let them take this opportunity. No, Annie agrees, squeezing my hand. We won't. That night, I pace her living room, phone pressed to my ear. The mantle clock reads 2:13 a.m., but sleep feels impossible. Yes, I understand you're closed. I tell the hotel's IT support line, steadying my voice against rising panic. I just need to confirm if my presentation auto-saved before my laptop was damaged. Annie appears in her robe, carrying 2 mugs of tea, her silver-streaked hair falling loose. Concern deepens the lines around her eyes. Good news, I tell her after hanging up. Everything's backed up to the company drive. I can access it anywhere. Smart girl. Always prepared. I learned after my college application disappeared from the mail pile. I back up everything now. Annie lowers into her armchair, tea in hand. Your father did the same to me. Broke my camera right before my scholarship interview. My chest tightens. You never told me that. Some family stories are harder to share. But think, haven't these accidents always happened before your big opportunities? The realization hits hard. Every milestone, college acceptance, apartment lease, promotion interviews, always shadowed by a sudden mishap or crisis. How did I not see it before? Annie pulls out a small notebook. Your mother gave me this last Christmas. Said she didn't know what to do with it. Inside are pages filled with my mother's handwriting. Dates, jobs, salaries, a secret record of my achievements. She's been keeping track, I whisper. I think part of her is proud, Annie says gently. She just can't show it. The weight of that knowledge settles in, but with it comes clarity. They can break my things, but not my skills or my progress. Let's see what we can recover, Annie says, returning with an ancient but working laptop. They can break things, I say, powering it on, but not my mind. The fan whirs loudly, blue light illuminating Annie's determined face. I'm not just going to deliver this presentation, I say, fingers flying across the old keyboard. I'm going to make it unforgettable. That's my girl. Annie squeezes my shoulder. We work through the night, restoring files and rebuilding slides. By morning, my eyes burn, but the presentation is sharper, leaner, stronger, turning obstacles into story. At 7 a.m., I save the final version and rest my eyes for 20 minutes. When I walk into the conference room, clutching Annie's battered laptop, the space feels vast, but I feel ready. 6 board members in tailored suits look up from their devices, surprise flickering across their faces at the sight of my old laptop. Casey? The hotel director asks. Is everything okay with your equipment? I don't apologize or explain. Instead, I set the laptop down firmly and meet his eyes. Obstacles often appear right before opportunities, I say steadily. How we respond is what defines us. With cables Annie dug out of her attic, I connect the laptop to the projector. The first slide lights up, sharp, professional, and ready. Our hotel faces a similar turning point, I continue, moving seamlessly into my pitch. Budget limits can be seen as restrictions or as invitations to innovate. The mood in the room shifts. Attention sharpens. Skepticism gives way to interest. For 20 minutes, I walk them through renovation proposals focused on character over cost and individuality over uniformity. The outdated laptop hums softly, a symbol of persistence. When I conclude, the director snaps his portfolio shut. I was undecided about budget increases, he admits. Not anymore. Casey, your department gets the first allocation. My phone buzzes. Texts from my parents, asking again for money I'm already late sending. I ignore it, accepting congratulations from the team. As people file out, Regina from accounting pauses. I don't know how you stayed calm using that laptop. I would have panicked, I smile. It's just a tool. The ideas are what matter. In the lobby, word of the presentation has spread. The front desk manager flashes a thumbs up. The maintenance supervisor, usually reserved, nods as I pass. The director joins me near the elevators. Impressive work, Casey, especially under pressure. He hesitates. A housekeeper mentioned seeing your family here yesterday. Everything all right? It's complicated, I admit. He studies me. If you need an advance for a new computer, just ask. We invest in people who invest in themselves. Before I can answer, I spot Aunt Annie waiting at the entrance, holding yellow daisies. Knew you'd impress them, she says. Hugging me. Behind her, I notice colleagues watching with approval. These people see me for who I am and what I contribute. You should stay with me until things settle, Annie suggests as we head to her car. My home is your home. Sunlight warms my face as we cross the lot. For the first time in days, I feel lighter. The question that haunted me, whether to cut ties or give my family another chance, no longer feels urgent. With Annie by my side and a workplace that values me, I have time. The most important lesson? I'm not alone in this fight. As we drive away, I thank her. Thank you for believing in me. Always have. Always will, she replies. 3 days later, I'm at Annie's dining table, surrounded by papers, receipts, and her spare laptop. The rush of success has faded into something more focused. I can't make choices based on hurt feelings, I explain as she sets coffee beside me. This has to be about facts. The table has become my command center. Spreadsheets detail years of bills I've covered, utilities, groceries, insurance. Each line carefully logged. Which ties are worth keeping? I murmur, adding another column. Which ones need to end? Annie peers over her glasses. Your father did the same thing to your mother when she wanted nursing school. He destroyed her application the night before. I jot it down, a familiar knot forming in my stomach. This isn't about punishment, I say firmly. It's about protection. I open apartment listings near the hotel. One application waits half finished. I need a secure place of my own, I tell Annie. Somewhere they can't reach me. This isn't a family crisis, it's restructuring. Every connection must be reviewed. Emergency contacts, payroll deposits, automatic payments, all under scrutiny. You've been paying their bills since your first management job, Annie points out. Noting my spreadsheet. 3 years of utilities, I confirm. Plus groceries and Jack's car insurance. The evidence builds line by line. Each detail strengthens my resolve. HR documents go into a separate folder. Credit monitoring services confirm updates. Security system research is underway. My focus is clear. Independence, not revenge. 3 years of financial support finally quantified. Annie squeezes my shoulder as I continue typing. You've always carried the responsibility, and now it's time they understand what that means. The phone rings, cutting through our planning session. Annie answers, her expression tightening as she listens. You should come see this, she says, passing me the receiver. Minutes later, I stand at my office window overlooking the hotel lobby. My parents are at the front desk arguing with the receptionist. My father pounds the counter while my mother clutches her purse, scanning for me. They're asking for you, my director says beside me. Something about unpaid bills? A knot forms in my stomach. They've escalated their manipulation by dragging it into my workplace, willing to risk my reputation. Security approaches them with calm professionalism. From above, I see my father's face redden, his finger jabbing toward the elevators. My mother's tears appear precisely timed, drawing sympathy from the gathering crowd. Should we call the police? My director asks. No, I reply, straightening my blazer. Security can manage. I've dealt with difficult guests before, but these aren't guests. These are my parents, being escorted out of the building that symbolizes everything I've created. I watch until they vanish through the glass doors, my father's gestures visible until they reach their car. The tension remains, but so does something stronger. Resolve. They can't take this from me either, I whisper, turning back to my desk, where another apartment listing waits. The preparation continues, and with every step, my determination deepens. 3 weeks after the laptop incident, I unlock the door to my new apartment. It's a second-floor unit with security downstairs and key fob access after hours, features I specifically wanted. That's the last box, Annie says, setting a container labeled kitchen on the counter. Her silver-streaked hair glints in the sunlight, filtering through windows I've already covered with privacy film. You travel light for someone who stayed so long in one place. I only kept what matters, I reply, glancing at the modest furniture, a couch, coffee table, and my new laptop on a small desk. What's missing speaks volumes. No family photos, heirlooms, or school ornaments. I open my notebook, where I've carefully tracked each step of my independence plan. Bank accounts moved, automatic payments canceled, mail forwarded, phone number changed, social media secured. 3 pages of checkmarks. Annie watches me add another. You're treating this like one of your hotel renovation projects. It's essentially the same. Assess damage, create a plan, rebuild stronger. I close the notebook. This isn't about burning bridges. It's about setting boundaries they can't cross. That evening, while unpacking books, my phone buzzes. My stomach tightens out of habit, but it's only a confirmation email for credit monitoring. The laptop incident taught me one essential lesson: protect everything. Later, Annie brings tea. Have you thought about what you'll say when they realize you've stopped paying their bills? I'll tell them the truth, that I can't keep supporting people who sabotage my career. If they can't accept that, the conversation ends. You make it sound simple. Not simple. Necessary. I blow across the mug. We both know this was never just about a laptop. The next morning, my phone vibrates. My mother's name appears for the first time in 3 weeks. I answer on the fourth ring. Casey? Her voice wavers. The power company called. You canceled the payments. They'll shut us off tomorrow if we don't pay. Why are you doing this? Her words are filled with confusion, not anger, as though my actions came without reason. Mom, after what happened with my laptop and presentation, she interrupts. Your father's been telling everyone you abandoned us. Even your cousin Vicky called to ask how she could help. Cold realization strikes. They're reshaping the story, making me the villain. My father isn't just controlling me. He's shaping how the whole family views me. That's not what happened, I say, gripping the sink. He says you care more about your job than your family. That we sacrificed everything for your education, and now you won't help while the mill's closing. The strategy becomes clear. I planned for financial and physical boundaries, but not for attacks on my reputation. This is about more than independence. It's about preserving the truth. After the call, I begin drafting an email to my extended family. Subject line: what actually happened? I detail years of sabotage with dates and consequences. Annie finds me still typing an hour later. I thought I only needed to protect myself, I admit. But now, I need to protect the truth. You've been fair, she says, resting a hand on my back. Sometimes the hardest part isn't standing up for yourself, but against the stories told about you. I save the draft, planning to review it tomorrow. The apartment feels quiet as night falls, but my resolve has never been stronger. It's time, I tell Annie as she gets ready to leave. My accounts are updated, the house is secured, and every detail is documented. I'm prepared to face them on my terms, not theirs. Annie hugs me firmly. Then that's exactly what you'll do. As I shut the door behind her, I realize I've built more than just physical protection. I've built an emotional one too. Not to hide, but to stand strong as I defend my truth. 3 days later at work, I see them as soon as the lobby doors slide open. My father holds his old hat, the one saved for funerals and loan meetings. My mother stands beside him in her pale blue church dress with the white collar, making her seem smaller than she is. Jack lingers behind them, uneasy in a shirt I've never seen before. My stomach drops. 3 days of careful preparation vanish in an instant. There she is, my father calls, his voice echoing across the marble floor. Several guests glance over. Marcus at the desk raises a brow, our hotel manager daughter. The words sound wrong. Too proud, not mocking. I freeze between the palms at reception, caught between my professional life and this sudden family intrusion. Casey, honey, my mother says, stepping forward with open arms. We've been trying to reach you. I keep my face neutral even as alarms ring in my mind. This isn't reconciliation. This is an ambush. I'm in the middle of my shift, I answer steadily. Did you need something urgent? My father wraps his arm around my mother's shoulders, presenting unity. Is that how you greet your parents? We just came to invite you to Thanksgiving. The whole family will be there. Uncle Jim, Aunt Denise, even your cousins from Buffalo. The trap is clear. Refuse here, and I look cold in front of my colleagues. Accept, and my boundaries are broken, Mr. Miller? My heart jolts as Daniel Peterson, the hotel director, approaches with a handshake. I've seen your photos in Casey's office. Great to finally meet you. My father shifts immediately, standing taller. The pleasure's mine. Just wanted to see where my daughter works her magic. I watch helplessly as my separate worlds collide. Daniel smiles, unaware of the tension. Casey was key in our renovation project, Daniel says. The board was very impressed with her work. That's our girl, my mother adds, tears forming. Always the smart one. Jack steps up, completing their formation. We're really proud of her. His tone is convincing enough to fool anyone who doesn't know the truth. Daniel turns to me warmly. You never mentioned your family would stop by. It was a surprise, my father interrupts, eyes locking on mine in challenge. The steel mill's closing. We need you more than ever, my mother dabs her eyes. The medical bills, the utilities. Her voice falters just enough. Daniel shifts uneasy. Marcus and Eliza exchange looks. Guests nearby start listening in. My father lowers his voice for effect. Thanksgiving seemed the right time to talk. Everyone wonders why you've ignored our calls. The weight of judgment builds around me. The picture of a daughter abandoning her struggling family. I steady myself, mind racing. This is the exact scenario Annie and I planned for, just sooner than expected. Retreating would mean surrender. Why don't we continue this somewhere private? I suggest, pointing to a conference room nearby. My office is being painted today. Daniel nods, relieved. My father hesitates, preferring the stage, but my mother urges him along. That sounds lovely. Jack whispers to him as we move, their coordination making my skin crawl. This isn't spontaneous, it's calculated. Casey, a voice calls. Aunt Annie strides in, holding a paper bag. You forgot your lunch again. You'd lose your head if it wasn't attached. Our prearranged signal? She saw their car and followed. My father's jaw tightens. Annie meets my eyes, giving a subtle nod. Annie, my mother greets coldly. What a surprise. Monica, Annie replies smoothly, handing me the bag. Charles, Jack, the whole Miller clan out today. Daniel observes closely now, sensing more beneath the surface. I turn to him, pulling out my phone. Can I show you something quickly? As my family exchanges tense words with Annie, I show Daniel the photos of my shattered laptop. This is what I've been dealing with, I whisper. This is why I had to borrow equipment for the presentation. Daniel studies the images, his expression shifting from confusion to anger. He looks at my father with new eyes. I see, he says, tone sharper now. We reach the conference room. Inside waits the confrontation I've been preparing for since that night my laptop broke on my parents' living room floor. After you, I say, holding the door as my family enters. Annie positions herself at the entrance, a quiet guardian. Daniel follows, no longer a pawn but a witness. I straighten, take a deep breath, and step in. Everything has led here, the planning, the boundaries, the support I've built. My heart pounds as I cross the doorway into the moment of truth. Jack smirks from his seat at the conference table. My mother masks her face with a look of concern. My father positions himself at the head of the table, claiming authority before a word is spoken. Annie catches my eye as I close the door behind me. Casey has something important to share, she says evenly, her tone steady but firm. The click of the door seals the moment. There is no turning back now. I stand tall in the hotel conference room, my posture firm as I watch my father attempt to charm my director. A place usually tied to my professional achievements now feels charged with tension. Charles Miller has always been skilled at presenting. Himself to outsiders, warm smile, strong handshake, sympathetic eyes, the polished performance. We're just worried about Casey, my father begins, his voice carrying that carefully rehearsed tone of paternal care. The mill is closing after 40 years, leaving 200 families without income. At times like these, family must stay united. Director Phillips nods politely, but I notice his glance shift toward me, gauging my reaction. Jack stands stiffly by the window, arms folded while Mom clutches her purse in her lap, her gaze lowered but darting around the room. They've arranged themselves into roles. Father as the logical patriarch, Mother as the anxious matriarch, Jack as the dutiful son. Right on time, Aunt Annie enters with my forgotten lunch, our subtle signal. She sits beside me, her hand brushing mine under the table. The simple touch steadies me. I understand your concerns, Director Phillips says, but why interrupt Casey during work hours? My father leans forward, elbows resting on the table. Our daughter ignores our calls and has shut off our utilities without explanation. We fear this promotion has placed too much pressure on her. My heart races, but I remain composed. Just a week ago, I might have panicked under such claims. Not today. Perhaps Casey should speak for herself, Philip suggests. Turning to me, I open the folder I prepared for this moment. 3 months of carefully compiled documentation. My throat tightens, but I begin. Director Phillips, I'd like to explain why I've had to set boundaries with my family. My voice is stronger than expected. These are photos of my laptop the night before our investment presentation. I slide the images. Across the table, the shattered screen, bent frame, broken hinge. My father destroyed this laptop when I told him about my promotion. The words hang in the air. It wasn't the first time. When I received my college acceptance, my textbooks vanished. When I landed my first management role, my car broke down mysteriously on day one. My father's face reddens. I'm not finished, I cut in, keeping my tone firm, one I had practiced with Annie for weeks. For 8 years, I've covered the household utilities while building my career. I gave financial support, and in return, received sabotage. Jack shifts uneasily by the window. Mom studies her hands. Charles, Annie says softly but clearly, you did the same to me when I got a photography scholarship. You broke my camera before my portfolio was due. You did it to Monica when she wanted nursing school. And you're doing it to Casey now. My father's jaw tightens. Annie, this is family business. Yes, it is, I interject, sliding another document across the table. A full record of the payments I've made for my parents' household while managing my own studies and career. Philip scans the spreadsheet, raising his brows. This is significant support. Casey. The final folder, I continue, producing emails, shows my mother requesting bill money the same day my laptop was destroyed. I turn directly to my parents. You can't claim I've abandoned you when I've been supporting you for years. Even while you tried to undermine me, the room goes quiet. My father's usual confidence has drained, leaving him rigid. Jack avoids everyone's eyes. My mother meets mine. Her tears are real this time, not calculated. Mr. Miller, Philip says firmly, are you aware that damaging another's property is a crime? The laptop incident alone could lead to charges. My father pales. That's unnecessary, Casey misunderstood. I understand completely, I counter. You spent years ensuring I failed so you wouldn't face your own fears about change. You wanted me to fail alongside you. But that's not love. It's control. Phillips rises, his decision evident. This behavior is unacceptable in any family. I must ask you all to leave immediately. You can't just, my father begins, but Phillips interrupts. Any further disruption will involve security. Casey is one of our most valued employees, and I won't allow interference in her professional life. My father's mask of concern collapses, revealing anger barely contained. His fists clench, then relax. For a moment, I think he might lash out, but he restrains himself. Jack finally turns from the window, shocked, unprepared for accountability. Casey, my mother whispers, we need you. The mill is truly closing. I look at her, really look, and see the woman who remained silent all these years. I know, Mom, but needing me doesn't justify destroying what I've built. Phillips moves toward the door, signaling the meeting is over. My father rises stiffly, Jack trailing behind, uncertain. I'll always be your daughter, I say as they leave. But I won't be your victim. When you're ready to respect my choices, we can talk. But not here, not like this. As they exit, Annie squeezes my hand. Her eyes glisten. You stood up in ways I never could, she whispers. Phillips waits until the door shuts, then turns to me. Those who harm others reveal more about themselves than their target. Your presentation proved your strength, Casey. Today confirms it. The room feels lighter, as if a weight has lifted. I expected to feel broken, but instead there's calm certainty. For the first time since leaving home, I've defined my own terms. Are you okay? Annie asks, I think carefully. The bridge to my past is burning, but ahead lies freedom without guilt. I think I will be, I answer, gathering my papers. For the first time, I truly will be. Weeks later, I clutch my coffee mug as the hotel director slides a certificate across her desk. Employee of the Quarter, my name in embossed gold. The board was impressed with how you managed everything, she says. Few could deliver a flawless presentation after such a crisis. My fingers trace the frame. 3 weeks since that confrontation, and I still sometimes expect to wake up back in my parents' house, desperate for approval. Thank you, I say, the words new on my tongue. Before, I would have minimized my achievement. Now, I allow the recognition to settle, balancing the heavier weights I carried for years. The staff noticed, she continues, smiling. Not the drama, your composure. The way you stood firm. That kind of leadership can't be taught. Outside, I see a father lift his daughter onto his shoulders. The ache inside me stirs, but distantly, like an old wound. Have you heard from them? She asks. I shake my head. They left town the next day. Jack texted that the mill closed last week. I set my mug down. It's better this way. What I don't say is how much lighter I feel, how I've slept soundly for the first time in years. Decisions feel lighter without the burden of expecting criticism. That evening, Annie waits on her porch, 2 glasses of lemonade resting on the table between the rocking chairs. Our Tuesday tradition, officially marked in our calendars now. I made the appointment, I tell her, easing into the chair's familiar creak. The therapist you suggested had an opening next week. Annie nods, satisfaction softening her face. Good. Recognizing those patterns will help. Casey, some wounds take more than time. I sip the lemonade, tart and sweet on my tongue. I also updated my emergency contacts at work today. Put your name first. Her hand finds mine, squeezing once. About time. We sit in quiet ease as the sun sets, casting golden light across her azaleas. A car backfires down the street, and I notice I don't flinch anymore. You know, Annie says after a pause, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's who believes in you. I finish, and we raise our glasses together. 8 months later, I stand in the largest hotel conference room, watching my team set chairs for tomorrow's regional meeting. Morning light pours through tall windows, brightening faces that now look to me for guidance without fear. Maria, can you confirm the catering includes vegetarian meals? My voice carries with ease, no hesitation, no need for approval. Already done, Ms. Miller, she replies with a smile, clipboard in hand. And the welcome packets are ready for your review. Where I once lived with constant anxiety, I now move with steady confidence. My mornings begin with a gratitude journal instead of anxious emails, 3 pages listing victories and small joys. The Anderson group arrives at noon. I remind my team, let's make sure everything is perfect. Perfect, a word I once feared, a standard that always felt unreachable. Now it's simply a guide, not a burden. After work, I drive to the community center where I teach financial literacy on weekends. It started as a way to fill empty evenings, but became something meaningful, helping others avoid the traps my parents fell into. My phone buzzes as I pull into my driveway. My house. 3 blocks from Annie's. No more sending money to parents who belittled me. Each mortgage statement feels like freedom. The text is from a number I haven't seen in months. Jack. Can we meet? I need to talk. I think of ignoring it, then recall my therapist's advice about choosing engagement instead of avoidance. I reply, coffee shop on Elm. Tomorrow at 4. Jack arrives early, fidgeting with his cup. His face is thinner, lines deeper. When he sees me, he straightens, replacing the old smugness with uncertainty. Thanks for coming, he says as I sit down. What's going on, Jack? My voice remains neutral, neither hostile nor inviting. Dad's sick. His lungs. All those years at the mill. His voice trails off. I wait. The old me would have rushed to fix it, to offer money or solutions, hoping for approval. I'm sorry to hear that, I say sincerely, but with boundaries intact. Jack looks surprised. That's it? No comment about karma? Would that help anyone? I ask. Something shifts in his face. I started working at Uncle Mike's garage. Taking night classes, too. Mechanical engineering. My eyebrows rise. That's great, Jack. Really. I always wanted to study archaeology when we were kids, he admits quietly. Never told anyone. Dad would have lost it. He rotates his cup slowly. When you chased your dreams, I was jealous, but I also admired you. Should have said that instead of... His hand gestures vaguely, recalling broken laptops and harsh words. We talk for an hour. Not about reconciling with our parents, those bridges are gone, but about his steps toward building his own path. About choices, possibilities. Family can wound the deepest, I tell him as we stand. But they can change. And if they don't, he asks, then you build something new. I glance toward the window, where Annie waits in her car, pretending not to watch. My chosen family, my foundation. Jack nods slowly. Maybe we could talk again, sometime. On my terms, I clarify, not theirs. Understood. I watch him walk away, his shoulders straighter than before. The real strength, I realize, lies in choosing to live true to yourself. If your family once sabotaged your future and tried to hold you back, would you forgive them or move on? I'm still deciding, but now the choice is mine.